Hello everybody, it's Andy Chandler here, and I wanted to put a video together for those of you who are really interested in progressing, getting hold of credentials from the International Coaching Federation. A number of us have been through the process. It's absolutely doable, but we thought it'd be helpful just to put together a short video just to maybe take you through some of the areas where we can help you overcome maybe some of the clunkier parts actually of the application process, or maybe those areas where perhaps it's not quite as intuitive or easy to follow. So the first thing to say is that if you aren't already a member, then clearly there are many benefits of becoming a member of the ICF. And in order to go through and secure your credentials, it really does make sense just to make sure that you have already become a member of ICF. So very quickly, I just start by having a quick look on the ICF website. www.coachfederation.org, and that will take you to this landing page. And then it really is just a question of joining up directly with the ICF. The process of joining actually is very straightforward. Obviously, it assumes that you have either completed your barefoot course or you are enrolled in a barefoot course or an ICF accredited program. And of course, this is probably a very important point to make the point that actually the barefoot program is one of only a few courses that are accredited and are in fact accredited coach training programs, ACTP, with the ICF. So first of all, that's a great thing to be, but also it's just worth being aware of that. So to join, if you were to join today, which is April, then it would cost you $245. And if you were to join in the next couple of months, then that would be prorated accordingly. But I won't really go through that now because I think it is really straightforward to do. So yeah, just join. You can do it all online. And that's pretty well about it. So I thought today we could just focus in on the whole area of credentials and the reason for it. I'm hoping that if you take your time to read through the ICF website, it becomes very apparent very quickly the benefits, of course, of being credentialed, both in terms of how you are seen and also your effectiveness as a coach. And clearly that's a really important thing. And that's certainly one of the big reasons why I made sure that I started and have gone through and started to gain my credentials in particular. There are 3 credentials available right now through the ICF. The first entry level is the Associate Certified Coach, ACC, then the Professional Certified Coach, PCC, and a Master Certified Coach, MCC. Again, the difference between these you can see for yourself, but are largely around the number of training hours which you have completed and the number of coaching hours. So I think it's probably easier just to focus in now, if we can, actually on the Associate Certified Coach itself. So let's just have a quick look at this now. You can probably see here there are actually effectively 3 pathways to gaining your ACC credential. The pathway that we're interested in, because the barefoot course is again one of a few accredited programs, is the ACTP path. So that's the one that you're absolutely looking for. And there are just a number of things that you needed to have done to be ready to apply. The first is that you need to have completed the barefoot course, including passing the live assessment. That's really important. And you therefore should have a certificate which confirms that from Barefoot. The second is that you needed to have built up sufficient coaching hours to satisfy the requirements of this credential. Now, in this particular case, you need a minimum of 100 hours, but there are some nuances in that which is worth looking at. I'll give you the headlines, but there's more detail on the website, which is you need to have made sure that at least 75 of those are paid for hours, and that you have worked with at least 8 clients following the start of whenever you started your barefoot coach specific training. And at least 25 of these hours must occur within the 18 months prior to submitting the application, so they need to be effectively current. So the starting point for this is that you will need to start the application process, and you do that actually by applying now. So here we go. The Credential Path Survey is the next thing you'll come across. And this really is just to check your eligibility before you go any further with your application. So if you just follow what I do on the screen, then you'll be fine. So if you have completed barefoot training, the box you need to tick here is ACTP. If the training that you're using, it asks you is the training you're using at the start date for your client coaching experience is accredited with ICF, the answer is yes. And as you go on to the next page, have you completed mentoring? Yes, you will have done that as a result of completing the barefoot program, and you will have completed a final oral exam. So it's yes to both of those questions. And then you are asked to simply select from the drop down the training provider, which obviously is Barefoot Coaching Limited. And once you do that, you then really just got a last couple of things to do. The first is to talk about the number of training hours that you've completed. To be clear, again, the Barefoot Training Program effectively provides you with 162 hours of training. So you would tick this box. It's probably worth being aware, if you remember back to the ACC and also the PCC credential, actually that gives you sufficient hours not only for the ACC credential but also for the PCC credential as well, which I think is well worth just being aware of. And then finally, how many hours of client coaching experience have you completed since you started the coach specific training? That is obviously for you to determine. In my particular case, I had completed this category. If you were to select 0 to 99, effectively you won't be eligible to go forward to apply for the credential. So you do need a minimum of 100 hours, and with all the various nuances that I mentioned earlier. So as a result of doing that, effectively it tells you, yep, you're good to go. Effectively, you are eligible to apply for that particular credential. So let's get on and just work our way through the application here. So the first thing that will happen actually will be that you will pay a fee related to your application and that particular credential. Now, you can probably see here, if you are a member already of the ICF, then it's $100. If you're not a member, then it's $300. And I think that, yeah, as it says here, it doesn't include ICF membership either way. So back to what I mentioned at the very beginning, you are really best to make sure that you have signed up as a member before you go forward for credentialing. It just makes a lot more sense to do that. I'm not going to go through this any further in terms of paying for this, because I've already got my ACC credential and I don't want to pay again. But it's worth saying that you will need to actually sign in if you are a member in order to be able to make sure you get the right price on the ticket. So effectively, otherwise it'll try charging you $300. So at this point, normally you would just go in, sign up, and then effectively you can then go forward and get the $100 deal. Okay, so then what will happen as a result of doing that is that you will be invited to do an online application. Now, I can't show you the online application in detail as such, but I can show you a sample application. It'll give you an idea about what you will need to complete. So here's the application. It is really important you read through this in detail because you are agreeing to a number of different things, and you're also attesting, i.e. giving a commitment around very important areas such as ethics, and we'll come on to that in a second. So it starts by, obviously you have a choice around your consent around the way in which your data is used and the way in which contact is made with you. You will provide your contact information as well, so that's good. And then you're agreeing to all of the terms and conditions which are included. And there's probably just a couple of things which I think are just worth reading in here. So the first is that you are very much reading, acknowledging and agreeing to abide by the ICF Code of Ethics. You will not be unfamiliar, of course, with these. These will have been covered on the Barefoot course, but it is really important, clearly, that you absolutely understand the ICF Code of Ethics and have taken the time out to make sure that you understand those well. Because not only are they important now for the credentialing process, but of course they should act as your guide, an ethical guide indeed, for your practice going forward as well. So once you do that, probably worth pointing out here actually, once you have if you're successful in gaining your credential, then effectively it's valid for a 3-year period. All right, so unlike membership of ICF, which is renewed every year, actually your credentials are valid for a 3-year period. What you then do is you're then asked to upload your certificate. That's the one that you will have from Barefoot. I can't find mine now. I've got it online, but either way, it's one which effectively confirms that you have completed the Barefoot course, and as a result of that have effectively carried out the 162 hours, had 162 training hours. So you need to upload that and also confirm when you started the training. And in my case, it was absolutely the case that the training is this training the training that you'll be using as a start date for your client coaching experience. The answer was yes for me. But then there are some really important, and I think it is really important that you read through the detail around the attestation of the client coaching experience in particular, because effectively it reminds you that you are required to have completed at least 100 hours, 75 paid, of coaching experience with at least 8 clients, and everything I talked about earlier. And then what you do is you literally go through each one and confirm, test effectively that these things are true. Now, probably worth just pulling out here, one of the attestations is that I have and maintain a detailed client coaching log to track and document my client coaching experience. So you can get this directly from the ICF website, and that is the form or log that you will use to effectively register all of the coaching that you do, that effectively counts towards your credentials. So it is a really important document. Now, there was a time when you used to have to submit that document. You no longer are asked to submit that, I think, from a data protection point of view, because it has contact details on it. But you do need to be aware that you may well be asked for that log at some point. And as you can see, probably this bottom point here, the ICF reserves the right to audit your client coaching experience. So that is important. That log does include contact details for your clients so that they can be, in fact, contacted. Clearly, if you put anything on that log which is incorrect, then you run into the danger of effectively being prohibited from reapplying for an ICF credential for a period of 5 years. So it's really, really important that, of course, not only is it true, but more importantly, you do need to make sure that the information on there is accurate, or you may fall foul of that, and that is a real risk, and clearly would be a very bad thing indeed. Okay, so once you've done that, you then put in the total client coaching hours that you're attesting to and sign it. And then what you're doing finally is you are authorizing the ICF to share your details with a third-party test provider for the coach knowledge assessment. So once you've done the application, it took a couple of weeks for the ICF to come back to me, at which point they then forwarded me a link to the third-party coach knowledge assessment. The purpose of this video isn't to go into that coach knowledge assessment now. Needless to say, though, it is important to take that very seriously. It is multiple choice. I didn't necessarily find it that easy, actually, and I'm sure it's a very personal thing. But my only advice would be, obviously, take your time. You need to allow yourself up to 2 hours. I think it took me 1 hour and 3/4 to complete the assessment. And it is very important, again, to be close to the ICF Code of Ethics, and also to make sure that you are very familiar with the coaching competency framework from the ICF, which of course you will be as a result of having completed the Barefoot program. But it is important, again, just to say, if you've done the Barefoot program and you've completed it, you'll be fine. But I would make sure that you've printed off the Code of Ethics and the competency framework, because that will really help just to make sure you go back over those. Okay, so broadly that's it, and I don't think there's much more to say. Overall, I think it took about 4 weeks from the time that I started the application through to the time that I completed it. But hopefully, I hope you found that video really helpful. Again, we know why ICF membership makes a great deal of sense. And actually, I feel really proud to have gone through and secured my ICF credentials, and certainly some of the clients I'm working with as well. That's now becoming more and more important as we go forward. So it definitely feels like the right thing to do. Okay, thanks everybody.